Who are you?
Very good question. I'm Emily Johns.
And what are you doing here in the middle of Shining Cliff Woods on this rather damp May day in 2008?
Well, firstly I'm making a cup of tea with the wood from the surrounding woods. And we're also here camping with a number of children from around the country. And it's a group called Fly Sheep Camps, and we've been camping here since 1975. Four. Yes.
And how long have you been involved with it?
I have been involved since 1976.
Yeah.
When I was 11, I came camping with Fly Sheep, and it was an offshoot of a group called Forest School Camps, which have been running since the 30s. And Forest School originally had the theory that children's development follows cultural evolution, and that playing in the woods and building shelters and lighting fires and stuff was a sort of integral part of individual human development.
Yes.
And so they based their educational principles on being outdoors in woods and poking fires and making dens and stuff.
Yes.
And then when the school closed down, they ran camps, and Fly Sheep was an offshoot where there were some young people in Fly Sheep in the 70s who wanted to take not just the children that could afford to go on camps, but to take children who couldn't afford to go on holidays. And so they really set up the perhaps more radical wing of Forest School Camps.
Yes. Steve Cullen wrote an article about the Forest School movement in a copy of Total Liberty a while back.
Yeah.
And of course Steve Cullen's an anarchist. Would you describe yourself as an anarchist in any way?
I am. I would still describe myself as an anarchist. I mean,
Yeah.
I suppose part of the principles of Fly Sheep was very much about, and Forest School was about building a community within the period of time, and both the children and the adults have the experience of building a community where everybody is responsible, and so everybody is responsible for getting the wood to cook the food. Everybody communally is responsible for getting the water, for organising the camp. And I suppose the difference between Fly Sheep and Forest School was that Fly Sheep also had this thing of not having a camp leader or a camp chief, and that it should be more horizontal.
So non-hierarchical.
Non-hierarchical.
Yeah.
And so people took, each day somebody takes turns in being the coordinator for the day. And, that may be adults and children, or, so the children are very much involved in decision making. And also we have a flat fee that the expenses of the camp are shared. No staff are paid, and the adults and the children pay the same to come.
Yeah.
So there isn't a differentiation in terms of age and responsibility.
So how many adult helpers are here this year, and how many participants?
This year there are I don't know whether it's our smallest camp yet, but we've got about 15 children, and I don't know if it's 15 adults, but we've got a remarkably large adult-child ratio. But in the past, like in the 70s, the camps were a couple of hundred people, and they've dwindled and dwindled. I think part of that is because a lot of the staff used to be students, and now students don't have time to do voluntary work, and that sort of changed the whole, I suppose all across the board it's changed the whole situation. But also, Fly Sheep is very ad hoc, so all the things like having police inspections and da-da-da-da-da-da, we don't have the resources or perhaps inclination to do that, and so it means that it has always been very informal, but external circumstances have also constrained Fly Sheep's activities.
So you see it as quite relevant to your views on anarchism?
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously having been brought up in an anarchist family as also, but it was, I think, very influential on me as a child in the whole thing of conscious communities and think when you're an adult and you're with children and you're doing things with them, maybe talking about them about responsibility, I think you don't really have the sense that those things do go in. But knowing it from the other angle, I think we were really conscious of the history and the purpose.
Children absorb things. It's like with language learning. If you've got children, sort of 1, 2-year-old, they'll happily absorb 2 languages without any trouble.
Yeah.
It's natural, isn't it? The learning condition of children at that age. Well, thank you for your time today, Emily.